So good morning, Landeskog Lighthouse. So I'm not having issues, but I'm having some changes going on that I can't put into words, and I don't even know who to ask for advice because I can't describe the energy and the things I've been feeling here lately. I feel like I'm sinking down into the earth. I don't know. It's been really strange, and I tried to put it all into my reading because it was all coming through then. And now that I sit here and I'm sitting in it again and thinking about it, it's like, I don't know, guys, I can't even explain it, but it just makes me wonder if anybody else is going through the same thing. It just feels like on an internal level, instead of going super, being my normal, drinking a couple of cups of coffee and running around doing everything, it just feels like I'm going into slow mode. I don't know, maybe my antidepressants are kicking in, I don't know, because they just started me back on Wellbutrin, but I don't think it's it, because I still get weepy. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's what my depression does to me. It gets me, like I see a sad commercial and I'll get weepy. It's not bad, it's like I don't get no crying jags or anything, but it'll last all of 30 seconds, and then it's gone and I'm normal again. It's just a lack of chemical in my brain. So, and a lot of ADHD people go through different, it depends on what kind of ADHD they have, because there's 5 different kinds, I've been told. Dr. Daniel Amen, he's a specialist in ADHD, and he's done brain scans and all kind of things. And he says there's 5 different kinds that affect, because it all affects the brain, everything, in the brain, every kind of dyslexia, a lot of it's in the same part. I used to think it was back here, but now they're saying some of it's up in the front of your brain, so I don't know. We're all wired differently. But I'm just going through some changes right now, and I know a lot of y'all don't look at my longer videos, which is, don't hurt my feelings. Over time, people will. Maybe when I'm dead and gone 20 years from now, people look back at some of my old videos and go, oh my God, I experienced that too, and I just didn't think about it at the time, and I didn't know she existed, because once it's out there on social media, unless somebody totally takes all your stuff off, it's out there. If somebody else has seen it and saved it or shared it, it's out there. So, and I feel like that with me, because all this spiritual journey started so much later for me, or well, it started sooner. I just never paid attention to it because I wasn't on medicine consistently, and I didn't have help consistently over my lifetime. And mine's real scatterbrainy type. But yeah, so I've just been going through this thing that's just getting me really, I just feel like right now I sit here and if I even start thinking about any of my readings that I've done recently, and a lot of times we don't remember them, guys, just in case y'all don't know. I mean, some tarot readers remember some of them, but a lot of times, if I do personal readings for people, I never remember this. I'll remember bits and pieces. Like I told y'all one time about the one guy that wanted to know where his relationship was going. Come to find out, it was all in his head. Literally, that's what the runes told me, was it's in his head. He's just imagining it. She was just a friend, and he was thinking there was something there, and there wasn't. She was just trying to be nice to him. But, I mean, shit like that happens to people all the time. But I'm just... Anyway, this reading I did yesterday, I was trying to put it into words, because what I was seeing in my head was like a mother or a grandmother figure, and then the grandkids, and then the great-grandkids. I was seeing some kind of passing it on, and that's what I was trying to describe in the Path of Destiny yesterday, was I was getting this really clear feeling that I couldn't put into words of timelines, but the present timeline, and people that have special gifts, make sure they teach their children. I kind of skipped my kids with some of my gifts, but I have a granddaughter that very much loves making powders and oils, and here I've gone and moved myself away. So at some point I am moving back to Mississippi, because that's where everybody that loves me is. And unless I suddenly become a millionaire and win the lottery or some shit where I can just move back right away, because that's exactly what I would do. I'd move back to Mississippi, buy another house, and be showering all my family with money. I'd end up broke again probably. But yeah, so I'm just feeling these subtle changes of energy, and every time I turn around I'll feel something. I probably should start journaling more about it. I do have my blue book, and I've been trying to do some stuff, and then I swear some of the more esoteric type tarot readers will touch on things. Like Sands touched on quite a few things. Eve at Everlong Mystic, MJ at Soulful Revelation, all of them in one way or another during a reading will say or do something that describes exactly what I felt. So I'm picking up on the energies. I'm just not drawing them out with the tarot cards. But yet, just like Sand at Sand Tarot, she'll tell you, she'll say, well, I was feeling this, or I was feeling that. So we're all of us that have any kind of, well, everybody's feeling it, I think. I think everybody's feeling it. But at the same time, I think only some of us are meant to put it out there, Some people that aren't even, like, come to think of it, I wonder what people that don't believe in any kind of spiritual afterlife are feeling, like atheists, and not everybody. My sister's an atheist, though she has some very special gifts. She just doesn't like them and doesn't acknowledge them. Karen, if you see this video, I'm sorry, honey, I do love you, but you do have some special gifts, and you're just like, nah. And that's fine, you can be that way. I think when you pass on, you're going to find out it's very different on the other side. And you're like, no, there's no other side. Yes, there is. Me and my sister are different like night and day. She's a summer person, and I'm an un-autumn person. I mean, I love to plant gardens in the autumn. In the summer, it gets too hot. I'm going to bring my ass indoors. My sister, she's out there all day long. In the winter, once it starts getting cold, she's like, oh, hell no. She goes to work, comes home, and gets underneath her covers with her kitties, and that's it. She's done for the day. So we're so alike, but so different. We're different seasonal is what it is. But anyway, so yesterday in that reading, I just kept feeling like I needed to say something about that, and it just didn't come out in a cohesive way. And because my brain does go off in different places, and I try really hard to make sure that y'all understand what I'm trying to get across to y'all in a way that y'all can see it in a logical fashion. Because sometimes, even when I'm doing the readings, emotions and feelings and things come channeled in, and I'll be looking at the runes, and this comes in, then that one, something comes in, and that one, and I'm like, I can't read it like that. I can't say here and then go to the end and go to the middle, and I still skip around sometimes because, guys, that's just the way it comes to me. And so that's why I have to do the reading. Now, if I'm doing it for a person, it's a little bit different, but if I'm doing it for the collective, I have so much come in, guys, you just don't know. And I've seen tarot readers do the same thing, but their brains, well, I'm not saying all of them don't have ADHD or have some kind of, neurological issue or something like that. I mean, like, I know I've got a couple of friends that are dyslexic. Actually, I've got 3 friends that are dyslexic, including Will. When he passed away, he was dyslexic, and it comes from the same part of the brain. But at any rate, so much comes in on my readings, I just can't get it all into a cohesive thing for you guys. And I want it to make sense, because I know it makes sense to me, especially after I unpack it all and look at it all, and I'll go, okay, well, that all makes total sense. But trying to get it across to you guys, sometimes it is difficult for me. And then sometimes even when I'm doing it, when I know what it's saying and I understand it, and I'm trying to put it forth in a cohesive way, the angels will still come in and go, oh, but this too, Lana, and they just expect me to just do what I do, because that's what they told me one time. They said, do what you used to do, do what you do, and it's like, what do I do? It took me a year and a half, guys, to realize they were talking about my spiritual beliefs and my readings that I used to do for people. They're like, go back to doing what you do, because that is your spiritual path. So that's, when I moved back, when I come to California, and I went, most of y'all know my story. I went back to Mississippi, and I started my channel there. And then I came here, and I've been doing it ever since. And sometimes there's days when they're like totally quiet, and they don't say anything. And I'll go like, well, how come you're not telling me anything? And I used to think, what am I doing wrong? Now I've changed my thinking has totally flipped around. Maybe this has happened for some of you guys, where now it's like, well, if they're not telling me anything, then there's nothing I need to know. Because when they come in with messages, that's what I need to know. And like I said, even if I do readings for myself, so much comes in, and it'll be like, okay, just give me the main grit and leave all the BS on the side. But it's like, they're like, no, you have to know, and you just have to figure it out. So or some of y'all go through that too, or maybe some of you have a different type of energy where you're more focused and it all makes sense to you in a logical way. Whereas me, I have to look at all the different things that come through and put them in a logical order, because I just get little bits and pieces, and then And then while I'm looking at it all, I get more bits and pieces, and it's just like, oh my God, it just takes me forever sometimes. Or it comes in so fast, I still miss parts of it. And then it's gone because it's intuition and it doesn't just stick with you. It's flashes of insight. So that's what I wanted to talk about this morning, though. My main thing was, I did want to mention, like I said, that there was more in that reading yesterday than what I could, even this morning, sitting here and thinking about that reading, more keeps coming. It's like, why didn't you tell me that yesterday? It's just more comes in. And I keep getting in this deep-rooted feeling energy. Like, it's like the minute I sit up in here, if I do think about anything on the spiritual level, I'm just like, I feel like I'm going halfway into a meditative state. But anyway, so guys, I think my messages are starting to change a little bit. I think they're going to be getting a little bit more, I don't know, the energy's starting to feel really different. And it's feeling less scattered. I can tell you that much. It's just me trying to put it down in, a way that makes sense on from the beginning to the end. But yeah, yesterday I got that really strong for the future thing on the Path of Destiny rune that in the future, the people like this generation, maybe the one before, but the next generation, and the world's going to be more chaotic because there's so many things going on with people changing. More people are staying at home working. Less people are working out there. The kids today are starting to say, well, I'm a guy in a girl's body, I'm a girl in a guy's body, and I want you to call me they, them. They're just going to make it so much more. And it's not that I'm saying I'm anti-anything, because I'm not. I really believe everybody is on their own spiritual path. And however you feel is how you feel. But I really think in the future it's going to be more chaotic because some people are going to, as they mature, they're going to go, well, now it doesn't feel right. Because I think there's so many people being born now that I think their souls aren't getting no resting break in heaven, in the in-between, in the ether, however you want to look at it, going from one body to another. And sometimes if you were a boy before and now you're being thrown into a girl's body and your soul hasn't had a chance to have a break and figure out what the last life was and what they need to continue doing, their soul needs to continue doing now. And I think that's why there's more confusion for people, because they're not getting that soul break. I guess it's a soul break. That's how I would look at it. Just like you see these on the LMN channel. I can't think of what it's, but a lot of times they have these kids that they're jumping from, there's not much of a gap from their last lifetime to the first, and they remember up till they get about 5 or 6 years old before they start forgetting. And they'll go, yeah, I remember. One story I remember hearing, the first one I ever heard that really impacted me was a little boy was born in the States. Or no, he was born, maybe he wasn't born in the States. But anyway, he kept telling his family that he had been murdered. And they were like, what do you mean you've been murdered? And he lived in a he lived in a further away village. I don't remember what country it was. He actually told everybody the man that killed him and where his body was. And believe it or not, and this is a true story, I just can't remember what country it was or whatever. But when they finally got the authorities involved, and it was after the man that killed him had actually, I think, died, but they went and they did find where he was saying his body was. They found a body right there of a little boy. And he was a little boy in the next lifetime too, and the current one that he was telling them about. And sure as shit, they found out this man had killed a couple of different kids in the village, and this was like one of those third world countries. But it was true. They found this little boy's body, and he lived in a village quite a ways away. There was no way he could have walked all the way and could have known all that. And they found out it was true. This man had killed some children. And yeah, guys, so when I heard that, ever since then, that I think is a good explanation of why some people are feeling like so disassociated with the bodies they're born into, is because they're not getting a big enough of a soul break, because there's so many more people on the planet now. And does that make sense to you? That makes sense to me. And it's not that I want to say any of these kids today are wrong by wanting to be called they or them, or I'm a boy but I identify as being a girl. I know a couple of those. I have a friend that has a couple of friends that are boys that identify as being girls, and vice versa. And I think that's why. I also think because there's so many fractured homes anymore. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. But that to me just makes sense. Anyway. But yeah, so my main message for all of this, with all this chatter, has been that I see this going down timelines, and with in families and psychic gifts and abilities and going into the future. And it's not like I'm trying to be a doomsayers. I hate doomsayers. I hate people going, we're all going to da-da-da. And half the time, those are people's fears coming out, and they just, fears are that, just that, they're fears. They don't always materialize. Sometimes, but not always. So I just feel like it's something generational. There's of light workers and psychic ability healers, spiritual healers, Reiki healers, all the people that they're using their healing gifts. They're going to want to make sure that if they see any of their younger family members that have the gifts, that they pass on any kind of tradition, anything that they know, wisdom. Just like they used to have the old storytellers before people had a written language, they would tell stories. And I love telling stories. I don't tell enough on my channel. But guys, really seriously, I just see that there's some people today that need to teach the next generation of someone in their family of the healers, because there's some kind of shared knowledge or knowledge that needs to be shared. That's what it is. See, it takes me a while to unpack things. And I've been working on this one since yesterday, trying to figure out, why do I keep seeing like a mother and a child, or a grandmother, a mother. And I'm not seeing men, I'm seeing women. It's there are a lot of men healers out there, but I think the majority are women. I could be wrong. Nobody beat me up for this. But yeah, I really believe that. I just see that some kind of shared knowledge needs to be shared on the path of destiny for some families, because they need to share some important information, and I just don't know what it is. I just know I keep getting this picture, and it's like they're trying to tell me, but I can't. That's just how I'm seeing it. So if you have a family member that seems to have some gifts like you do, and you feel like there's something they need to know, don't wait. Just like my room said yesterday, don't wait, don't doubt. Pass it on to someone, write it down. You know, if you don't think it's going to be in this generation, you think it may be in the generation after you, write it, put it out a safe deposit box, and leave it to an entrusted friend if you're an older person, to make sure that somehow, some way, someone in your family knows about it, because people do talk, and that is the best thing that we can do, is talk. All right, guys, so this video has gotten to be kind of long. Yeah, this is my thought patterns this morning. All right. Guys, if you know of anyone else that needs any of the information that I share in my videos, especially with the way my readings have been going lately, please like, subscribe, and share. And whether it be family or friend or whatever, be a light in the darkness. If you can help someone, help someone. And if you have knowledge you feel like somebody needs to know, share it with someone. So that's my message for today. Love and light, Lana Scott, Lighthouse.